Hi guys, Ramble time. Yeah, I don't have time to make a really polished video, but recently as a side project, I decided that I really wanted to try to follow up on some of the leads as to the identity of Q from QAnon conspiracy lore. And there's some differing opinions on who's behind it all, but before I make my decision as to which theory is the best, I'm going to investigate just a little bit more. Probably take a month. I do kind of feel like a pressure of the election is coming up, and I'd like to see if it can be figured out before the election, but kind of personally invested in it because, well, I lost 2 friends so far to the rabbit hole that is QAnon, and one of which here on YouTube, he has made some videos I've responded to, Robert Wallace, and recently, I think it was on September 1st, he made a video where he was in a parking lot and almost drew his gun on some people. He flashed it to the camera, but I was just like, wow, he's kind of in a bad place. This whole political season is really, really getting to him. He's thinking that just people in a grocery store parking lot might be possible looters and rioters that are going to come for his guns. I don't know. So, yeah, it's riled up some people, but in that vein of, me looking at QAnon, the conspiracy and who's behind it, I really do think that QAnon takes the cake as far as conspiracy theories go. It is like a whole bunch of different conspiracy theories all rolled up into one. Nothing holds a candle to it as far as like how on its face unbelievable it is, and yet people believe it with a passion. They're showing up to Trump rallies wearing, red, white, and blue Qs on their shirts, hoping that Trump will say something that is a little nod to their little belief system. It's uncanny how odd it is. When you just say it, plain-faced, that they believe that there is a secret cabal of cannibalistic pedophiles doing human sacrifice and child sex trafficking for adrenochrome, which is like a hormone that only scared kids can produce in big enough quantities to keep them looking youthful. It's just wow. And some of them believe other things, like maybe they believe in reptilians on the side, are part of it. They might believe in the Illuminati, the Bilderbergers, and all that. It's really a theory, a whole movement that can go a whole bunch of different ways. You don't have to believe everything in it to be part of that QAnon movement. It's like a little buffet. There are some, main course items to it, but there's a whole bunch of fucked up crazy over there. But as I'm looking deep into that, I keep getting reminded of things on the liberal side of things that give me the same feeling. The same feelings I get when I'm watching, the whole QAnon thing, especially as we get closer to the election, Anyways, I wanted to talk about, 3 of those liberal conspiracy theories, my top 3 that I'm interested in right now and following to see where they go, right? I'd say the one that reminds me the most of QAnon right now is, I'll just call it the Elliott Avenue conspiracy theory. Now, you might not have heard everything behind this story, but it starts like this. Just like I talked about, the child sex trafficking, vampire, Hollywood people that QAnon believe in, I'll put it to you the same weird way, okay? Just on its face, it is. The reason why the police who shot Breonna Taylor have not been arrested and charged with murder is because the crime is bigger than that, because there was a developer who wanted to gentrify the neighborhood, who paid off the city and the police, and basically hired the police to drive out all of the residents of 3 square blocks so that they could pave over all of their houses and build a whole new neighborhood, totally gentrified. Right? It's not as wild as QAnon, but you'll have to admit, if once you hear that, you want some receipts, right? You want to know, you want to have proof, right? So, the little bits of evidence for their case that I've been able to find. One is that in 2019 there was a plan that was, bantied about the city council of Louisville that listed the house where Breonna Taylor was shot as not yet being acquired by the city. But, you could see that they had some intentions in this plan for redevelopment, right? And this was a plan that was, in 2019, they were looking at, crime-ridden neighborhoods. They also had a task force, this is true, that was like a place-based justice thing where they were specifically looking at high-crime neighborhoods. This is also true. And the cops who shot Breonna Taylor were from that task force. This is also true. They had a no-knock warrant for what I think is actually the wrong house, but this leads to the whole, it didn't matter what house it was, feeling of this theory. That these police were there to fuck with the whole neighborhood and scare everyone away so that they could be bought out and paved over, right? So the fact that it was not even the right house that it happened in, that would just lend to their thinking that, it doesn't matter because it was still on Elliott Avenue, which means, their job was to scare everyone anyway. Doesn't matter. They're just going to knock down anyone's door because they're there to harass people. So, the other thing that lends to this theory, where the origins of this theory come from, is the lawyers representing Breonna Taylor's family. They amended the lawsuit to include the city and developers and all that, and not just suing the police department, right? And when I saw that, what I was left feeling was, well, of course, they're going to broaden the scope of who they're suing, because if you're suing the police could have qualified indemnity, which is a concept that's been making its rounds around YouTube after John Oliver video explaining it. But basically, you can't sue police and get much money from them, because if they were in the line of duty when an accident happened, they're not liable because of special laws that protect them. But rich developers and the city, those two have giant coffers that the lawyers could go for, which to me makes a lot of sense as far as like what kind of case they want to present, which, maybe they're the whole source of this gentrification theory, because they're trying to get some money. And there's no money to be made by suing police officers when they have qualified indemnity. Anyways, another part of their theory has to do with the fact that the house where Breonna Taylor was shot was sold to the city since her shooting for $1. And that just shocks people that a whole house could be sold for $1. There's got to be something wrong with that. Well, maybe it was one of those surrenderings, where somebody just thought, there's other factors to this, it's just not worth it, give it up. But, just the shocking thing that, like, a house was sold for $1, just to transfer it, have it transfer ownership, it's a tidbit of information. I don't know exactly how it plays into the whole theory, but I'm watching that one because to me it is the next best thing to QAnon, just on the left, because it involves like this giant conspiracy to gentrify the city, right? And that's the part that to me it's just as unbelievable that the city itself was using their police force to kick people out of blocks and blocks of housing. It just, this is the 21st century, right? I get that things like that have happened in the past, but to think that a city council that has some representation of minorities in it, this is Louisville. I find it hard to believe. The next theory I want to talk about, it's I've only seen the seeds of it popping up so far. I first saw it on TikTok. So the theory goes that Proud Boys are going around the country lighting all the fires that have been devastating in 2020. And they're only doing it in liberal states because they're trying to fuck with liberals. And they're also doing DNS attacks at the same time, because these Proud Boys have like techie friends who are also like racists and into supporting Proud Boys. And so they're doing like denial of service attacks, so that when people are trying to leave these fiery places, their phones aren't working, so like they can't call for help. This is part of the theory as I've heard it, right? But what really reminds me of the people on the right with the QAnon stuff is when I hear people saying that they heard from a credible source that fire marshals are looking for someone of a certain description in relation to all these fires, these arsons, right? And I'm like, every time I see that, I try to follow up, like, well, who is it? Who are they saying? Sometimes it's a fire marshal that was telling other firemen, but we never get the name of the fire marshal. Sometimes it was something overheard on a police and fire department scanner, that leads them to believe that, but you never hear the recording. You just hear it like, oh, well, I heard this on the scanner, and this authority is never something that I can verify. It's somebody way up high who knows things. Let me know something. I can't tell you who. And that to me just reeks of QAnon style thinking. Like, this guy's got a Q clearance. He's got a top secret clearance, but he's leaking us in some information. We can't say who he is. Some of them believe it's actually JFK Jr. I guess he faked his death or something. I don't know. So the last theory I'm going to talk about is, to me, the funniest one. It's the theory that Melania Trump is actually a good person, and that she's kind of held captive by her husband, who is, of course, I guess, abusive in this theory, and that she's not really in it for the money. She's just, like, kind of pressured by fear into staying Donald Trump's wife, and that after he dies, she's going to probably take whatever part of his fortune she gets and then give it to liberal causes to try to, mend some of the bad things that Donald Trump has done. And that, basically she has a good heart. It's a strange theory. Like, what they use to go along with this is, like, historic footage of, like, her walking apart from her husband, in not the way that a first lady, I guess, would walk, like, behind him or, like, ahead of him, but, like, there's some footage of her not holding his hand, and there's, like, certain gazes she's using. To me, it's just the funniest one, because they're attacking Trump's wife to attack him, because of all the different things that the right said about Obama, like not being an American-born citizen, he's from Kenya or something, right? I never heard a theory that Michelle Obama didn't love Barack Obama. But the left is just ready and willing to believe that Melania is just, she's not a gold digger. She was just, pressured into whatever relationship she has with Donald Trump, and that she's actually a good person behind it all. I don't know. A lot of my commenters probably have never heard any of these theories before. But I'm following them with what brain cells I can afford to give to it, because I still have a 4.0 in grad school and trying to maintain it. You know, that's why my upload schedule has been so spotty. But yeah, once I have some really good leads on who Q is and why this QAnon thing exists at all, I'll be sure to let you guys know, because it's kind of a personal vendetta at this point, you know. I know people personally that got sucked in, and it's been ruining their lives. Hopefully, by the time we figure it all out, it's not too late for, you know, people to, you know, stop being affected by these things. But in my friend Robert's case, I'm just hoping that he doesn't end up in a shootout at this point with what he posted on September 1st. Holy shit. His level of hatred towards the left at this point, in another video when he said that he wished everyone who backed Black Lives Matter would be run over. I was like, whoa, you said that in the video? Holy crap, you know. We are so divided as a country. And also, fuck 2020. I think we can all drink to that. Fuck 2020. Witters.